Scams are getting smarter, more convincing, and harder to predict. Almost everyone has received a suspicious call, text, or email, and sometimes it's hard to tell what's real and what isn't. In this series, we're going to be talking with Detective Keiana Robbins, who is with the Chatham County Police Department. And we're going to be diving into how these scams work, what the warning signs are, what to look for, and what to do if someone you know is targeted. In this first video, we're going to be breaking down these types of scams and the red flags everyone should know. So here with me now is Detective Keiana Robbins with the Chatham County Police Department. How are you doing today, ma'am?
I'm pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. It's getting a little crazy out there.
That is true.
So, just for people who don't know, can you just talk a little bit about yourself and talk about like what you do specifically with the Chatham County Police Department?
Well, I'm a detective with the police department. I've been a detective for about 4 years now. We handle everything from your misdemeanor crimes to your very serious crimes, such as a homicide or, a shooting or armed robbery. I have some experience with financial cases due to our staffing numbers. We don't have particular units, so to speak, but I try to, my interest is in financial crime, so I tend to get assigned more financial crimes than anything else.
So it's more of like a specialty for the department?
Yes.
I see. Now, why has scam prevention become such an important issue for our community right now?
I think it's becoming a very important issue because, it's becoming more of a issue as far as the citizens of the community being scammed, whether it's through like social media, receiving phone calls, receiving emails, or even just, doing something on the computer and a Microsoft alert pops up or a LifeLock Norton pops up.
And when we say scam, like what does that mean in terms of like a law enforcement perspective?
From my perspective, scam is just I guess you could say, it's just another word for fraud, which essentially is the act of unlawful misrepresentation. So say if someone calls you saying, hey, I'm with, your bank's fraud department, we noticed that there was some unauthorized transaction in your account, and then they start leading you on into a longer conversation to the point where they're like, oh, well, we can't have you hang up the phone. You can't talk to anyone about what we're talking about because then the investigation is compromised. Those kind of.
Yeah, that's been a lot, really prevalent the last few months. Like I've known a few people where that's happened to, where they sort of like hold you hostage on the phone. And like, have you noticed like over the years that you've been working on these types of scams, have they gotten more like evolved, or is there like a specific pattern? Are they targeted, random?
I feel like they could be targeted, but they're also a little bit more random as well. Sometimes it's kind of just the luck of the draw that someone answers the phone. There's a couple cases where, the victim in the case, they feel embarrassed because, they deem themselves to be a very smart individual, and that they, should have, looking back at it, they should have saw the warning signs that, something wasn't right. And, usually what happens in these cases is the person on the other end is essentially instilling a fear or making a sense of urgency to the victim, to the point where, all logic goes out the window, because either you're thinking that, you got an arrest warrant for, out for you, someone's coming to your house to come and arrest you, your information possibly was used in very serious crimes such as child pornography, child abuse, things of that nature. And it just makes a person so afraid that their livelihood is at stake that they just, do what they, at that time, do what they're essentially forced to do.
Right, and that's the thing too, like it can happen to anyone. Like I know a few county employees that's happened to, where they've said that, hey, we got a warrant out for your arrest, you need to come down, you need to go to this specific spot. And lately, have you been seeing, like, is this the most recent type of scam? Like what's the most common type of scam you've experienced?
I think it kind of ranges. When I first started looking into financial crimes, the biggest thing was check fraud. So someone puts their check into the post office, the blue post office mailbox that's like near local grocery store. They'll put the check in, to get it mailed out, things of that nature. Well, we had a few cases where people were stealing the mail out of the mailbox. and they would go through the mail. If you had a check, what they would do is they would try to wash the information off the check. So that
Oh,
means
my
like
goodness.
using any kind of chemical, such as like acetone or some kind of fluid that can break down the ink itself, and then they'll put either, if they could, they'll put their information or someone else's information on it to get that cash checked, or they'll wash it enough to the point where they could then scan it through like maybe a software like Adobe, and then create a new check and then print it out on check stock. And ironically, you can go on Amazon and buy check stock for like $20 for like 250 sheets.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So like, are they getting like? Have you noticed that they're getting like more advanced? Like, do you think they're getting more advanced?
I would say, yeah, they're getting a little bit more advanced because now you got the spoofing of the phone numbers. So like some victims, they've even received phone calls from a number that looks similar to like their bank's fraud department, or it could have been their bank's fraud department, but it's just a spoof number. So then they answer the phone, and then they carry on this conversation, and ultimately they get scammed out of thousands of dollars.
Oh my gosh. I mean, so this is fascinating because like the way that these scams have evolved from what I knew when I was growing up, it was always like, hey, if you like just know like you'll never like if this bank or this loan is like you'll never get contacted by this bank or loan. But now they're just like they're posing as that like just recently my girlfriend, she got into a car wreck, and then this was in Bryan County, and they handed her a police slip. And then as soon as she was filling out the report online, she got a call from someone pretending to be a lawyer.
Oh wow.
So it's almost like there really isn't like because one of my next questions I was going to ask you is like, is there a typical script that they follow? Because it seems like it's now more random.
So I would say it depends on the type of scam. Like when it comes to the phone calls you get and they say, hey, I'm with your fraud department, it sounds, in the cases that I've gotten, it sounds like the scammers are usually using some kind of script because the conversation is particularly the same with each victim. And then, there are some specifics that they change to kind of fit to, whoever they're talking to. But it seems like for the most part, it's kind of scripted.
And for the most part, like in general, like it's essentially the same scam, whether it's like online or on the phone, or do they use like different tactics?
I think it may be a little bit more similar. When it comes to the online, they essentially, like if you're on the computer, pop-up comes up, hey, your Microsoft is, there's something wrong with your Microsoft account. You need to call this number. There's something wrong with, Norton LifeLock. Hey, call this number, and then you call the number from the pop-up, and then you're on the phone with the scammer. From there, they're trying to get all your personal identifying information, such as your, getting you to verify like your name, date of birth, social security. They may just give you like the last four, and you may say yes or no, whatever the case is, and then they just continue to prolong that conversation.
Now, with those kinds of scams too, because when I was growing up, they're like, don't even answer the phone because they can take your voice. Has that happened too, or is that just like a common misconception?
Well, with AI now and the capabilities of AI, it's probable that is happening. But me personally, I haven't worked any cases where that is the case.
Now, what would you say to those, like, to look out for, like, the early warnings? Like, what are some red flags, like, if you ever encounter a call like that?
When it comes to, like, the phone calls, I would say, a red flag would be, hey, they say, we're with your bank, and, you have some unauthorized charges. I would say if you have, like, a computer or a separate device, just go ahead and log into your online banking information if you do online banking to see, if there were any charges. If you start to feel like, something isn't right about the conversation, you can always hang up the phone, and then on the back of your debit card or your credit card is a customer service number for your bank. And I would just say call that number, and then try to speak with someone there. If you can't, say if you have a bank that's local, like Wells Fargo, Truist, Bank of America, I would say try to get to your local branch and speak with either the branch manager or a teller. They have access to pull up your account, and they can confirm whether or not there were transactions on your card or your account. And then from there, you can always file a complaint with the bank, and then they would, have someone reach out to you, or they may, depending on how late in the day it is, they may just take care of it right then and there.
You talked earlier about like how they kind of sort of follow a similar script. Like, can you give us like an example of what like a typical like?
Let's see. Recently, we've had cases where individual receives a phone call. They're like, "Hey, we're with your financial department, like your financial institution's fraud department. Hey, these were some unauthorized charges on your account. Do you have a bank account anywhere else? Do you have money anywhere else? If you do, we need you to secure the funds." And ways, and they will tell you ways to secure them would either be to put that money into your account that they're calling about, and then they're making people or having people do cashier's checks and sending the cashier's checks to businesses. I've had one case where they did the cashier's checks, and then they prolonged the conversation long enough over months to where the victim was told to take substantial amounts of money and buy gold with it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Gold?
Yeah, gold. So once they bought the gold, they were instructed, hey, let's take a picture of all the gold that you have, and then we'll have someone come meet you to take it and secure it. Yeah, so they also put it, make it seem like what they're doing is helping you secure your money into dummy accounts, which is where the cashier's checks comes in, and then that's where also the getting like gold or silver or some kind of other asset, so that they can then take it from you and then say, oh, we're gonna secure this for you, but then once you hand it over, it's gone.
Oh my God! I mean, that sounds
terrible.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, are they targeting like? Because like from the way that you're laying it out, it almost seems like they're like targeting certain demographics. Who are they mainly targeting? Are they targeting mainly seniors? Are they targeting mainly like younger people? Or
I think it's everyone. They're targeting everyone. I think it's just for them, it's who falls for it, essentially.
Oh.
Some cases there's individuals who range between the ages of, let's say, 20 to 30, and then you have 30 to 80, 30 to 90. I think the oldest victim I have is I want to say about 90, 91.
Wow.
And then the youngest victim I have so far is about 19, 20.
Wow. I mean, someone thinks that they might be like, if someone's like dealing with that kind of a scam, like what's the first thing they should do?
The first thing they should do is, if they can, immediately hang the phone up and then reach out to whether it's their local police department or reach out to the bank to notify them, hey, this is what's going on. Can you watch my account? Especially with the bank, just have them, if you can, put a freeze on your account for the time being until you can, get in person to speak to someone to actually look at your statement to see if there's any movement, see if there's anyone trying to access your account online that you're not aware of. At least put that initial freeze on the account so that you can stop money leaving your account.
With how these scammers operate, do you, in your experience, have they like operated alone, or are they like, is there like a group of people that are calling from some like hub somewhere?
For the most part, I would say it's kind of organizational, in a sense. So with the check fraud stuff, we've worked with Savannah PD as well as the United States Postal Inspectors, and I think there was at least a ring, maybe 2 or 3 rings with 10 to 20 different people that we've been investigating. As far as the status of those cases, that would be up to the Postal Service, since going into the postal mailboxes and stuff, that's a federal offense.
Oh my God! So have you ever seen ones that like started out small, or that like, they seem small and they just? Yeah. Oh my God!
I would say the very first like check fraud case that I was able to identify individuals in ended up being a lot bigger than what it started out as, and we ended up getting the postal inspectors involved, and they have the case file, and I believe that they're trying to do something federal with that, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Now, do they typically like go after people around a certain time of year? Because obviously during with the holidays coming up, are they going to be going after them then, like during like certain breaks, spring break, summer?
I think it's just opportunity, honestly. I know The check fraud has kind of increased a little bit, especially around the holidays, because people are, sending out mail to family members that aren't necessarily near them, so they're mailing it out all across the nation. And check fraud actually isn't just a Chatham County issue; it's a nationwide issue. If someone contacts you and you believe that they are, trying to get your information to scam you or to whether it's money or any kind of other possessions that you may have, whether it's like family heirlooms, antiques, things of that nature, definitely report it. If you aren't out of any money, you don't typically have to report it to police, but you can always file a report through ic3.gov. It's essentially a reporting database for the federal government. Any complaints that are filed will get stored, and local law enforcement can have or has access to look up the submission number to actually get the full report.